Okay, this is going to be very strange because I'm actually not recording with Zoom. I'm recording with my phone because I need to be able to see what I'm doing in Zoom. So if I started a Zoom session, it's just me. Notice down here there's a 2 by participants. That's because I have a waiting room enabled, which you should. And so if I go to participants, you can see my wife has tried to join me here. And if I don't recognize her, I can remove her, or I can actually send her a message. I think somehow, in the chat, I go back to chat, can actually send her a message in the waiting room. The problem is there's no way for her to write me back a message, so let's not worry about that right now. I'm going to say, I totally recognize her. Admit her to the room. She's going to join the room. There she is. Her video is not started right now. She's muted, which is, I think, the way it's set up. Now, this window over here, the way that I got to it was I clicked on participants, and that's up there. She was actually connected earlier. You can notice she typed in the chat window, and the way you get that up is the chat window right here, or Alt-H, depending on what device you're on. It might not be Alt-H, but this is, you'll see that over there, which I'll mention in a second. Okay, I'm not going to go through all these things, but there's a couple of things that are critically important. So first of all, you already know how to admit participants. If you see that you've got like 5 people there, but only 2 people on the screen, you must have people in the waiting room. So they appear up there. I don't have anybody else in the waiting room. The other thing that you really probably want to know is the chat window, because people will likely be typing things in there. If you want to turn chat off for people, you can do it for over here, but that's not really what you want to do. You probably want to go over here, and this is kind of hidden, which is why I'm showing it. There's a more button, and you can say, I think by default, it's going to be everybody can chat everywhere, both publicly and privately, so we can have lots of private side conversations. You probably want to do this. Everyone publicly, that way they can got something to say. They've got to say it to everybody. Everybody knows, which is why you probably want to assign 1 or 2 people to keep an eye on the chat window and let you know if something really critically important happens there that they need to interrupt you, or to at least remind you when you pause, can you go back and answer the questions in the chat window. So chat window, very important. I'm going to turn that back off, okay, right down there. And I'm going to close participants again. Since I've got participants open, once again, right there, participants, brings that up. Students need to know how to find this. So they need to find that participants button, because the thing they can do there is they can answer yes, no, go slower, go faster. I've never used these buttons, but they've put this to more. So they can do a thumbs up, thumbs down, clap, and they can also raise their hand here. Now, you as the teacher don't have a raise the hand function, but that's a really common thing for people to be able to do, is raise their hand so they can say they've got a question without interrupting you. They can tell you they're getting coffee or they need a break. These are toggles. If a kid raises their hand, I think you can lower it, but also if they're like, I made a mistake, they have to just go back and click it again to turn it back off again. You can mute everybody. One option is right now they can unmute themselves, because sometimes you just want to do it as a courtesy. But if you actually want them to not be able to allow to unmute themselves again, that is an option you might consider. I wouldn't worry about that, though. But it is nice if somebody just forgets, rather than say, can you mute yourself, it's just easier just to mute them yourself. And you can do this from up here, too. Like, see, I can mute myself, or I can unmute or mute somebody else. Now, if I unmute this person, it does not automatically turn their microphone on. They have to give permission. I can just make it allowable again. I could say unmute all, but they're still muted. See, they'd have to unmute themselves. It means I've turned off the mute all. Okay, there's 1 or 2 important things that you need to see here. Let's see. We did that. If you wanted to stop your own video, obviously that might be important to you, as well as you might want to mute yourself if your students are talking. Notice it will tell you if you've forgotten about that. And let's see, we've talked about chat. That's really super important, especially if you've got like a document or something you need to share. Just type it in there, as well as it's a nice way for students to patiently ask you questions and not interrupt you mid-sentence. And there's these reactions down here. These are kind of fun, but you've got this thing back in the participant window, so I don't know why there's 2 places for this. Oops, not the participant window. You have these things. You have the thumbs up and thumbs down. I would just train your students to use these. These are kind of fun, but it seems like the functionality is duplicated. Share screen. So these are the last two buttons I'm going to show you. Share screen. This is really super important. So you can share what's on your screen. You can allow students to do the same. I'm working in a document here about what I'm talking about right now, but I could show whatever screen. And one of the nice things when you share screen is this annotate button up here, which is really great because while you're sharing screen, you can write directly on this thing, okay, whatever I want to. And I can do, put little hearts on there if I want to. I think one of the options, so this makes it more like a highlighter. I can do that. I can change the color. So that's a super cool thing. It takes a little practice. And if you do it a lot, you're probably going to want a stylus. But once you are sharing the screen, don't forget about that annotate option. And then once you've got your screen marked up, you're probably going to need to go back in there and clear everything so you can move on. Okay, I'm done sharing with my screen. Let's go back to talking. The other really cool option that I like to really encourage people to do, if you just want to kind of briefly do a lesson, just open up a Zoom session, record your screen, and while you're doing that, here, I'm going to go back to stop sharing. Stop sharing, that's important. Stop sharing. Go back to normal. I can just hit record. So actually, I'm going to kick my wife out of here. I'm going to, she says good. I'm going to remove her, or I could put her in the waiting room. I'm going to remove her altogether. Remove. You can't hear her in the other room. She's saying good. Let's pretend I just opened this thing up. So like I said, this is just a nice trick in general. It has nothing really to do with Zoom, but like, let's say I wanted to record a little lesson. It's really nice, I think, to close all these things. Just open this thing up, record. It doesn't matter where. I'll record on this computer. So I'm recording, okay? Now, if I share my screen, I'm a little floating head. So it's kind of nice because the kids like to see us. But then whatever document I'm working on, I can type in that document. I can annotate it. I can do things on a website. I can do whatever I want to here. But still, it's kind of like, kind of professional because my head's there and I can wave and stuff. So it keeps the kids' attention. But that's just a nice trick. So when I stop sharing, I stop recording. When I'm done, this is going to convert this to a video, and then I can take that video and upload it to wherever I choose to upload. I like YouTube, but whatever works for you. I think that's plenty. Thanks for watching.